We are the reporters for Queer News Tonight. This evening, extreme House Republicans get schooled by Senate Democrats.
The Supreme Court upholds conversion therapy ban.
Jordan Lee, Elizabeth Hayes, and Adam Wyatt of Florida Atlantic University examined the prevalence of alcohol and substance use among LGB U.S. high school students. The results are optimistic, but the reason for the drop will surprise you.
The OnePulse Foundation, which was established in the memory of people who lost their lives in a mass shooting at Post, is now getting dissolved with little chance of reimbursing the donations. The LGBTQ+ community reacts.
Across the U.S., many states have attempted to pass anti-drag laws, including Florida, but drag continues to remain a central topic in a larger culture war targeting LGBTQ+ rights.
Good evening, and welcome to Queer News Tonight. This is the world's first and only LGBTQ+ daily evening television news, broadcasting live and available on demand on all smart televisions, including Roku, Apple TV, Android, Amazon Fire, both TVs, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. It's time to queer up the news. It is Tuesday, December 12th, 2023. We are live and literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your important stories we are going to tell this evening on Queer News Tonight.
This is the world's first live daily LGBTQ evening news show, literally out of the closet and into the headlines on Queer News Tonight.
I'm Out South Florida senior reporter John Hayden. This evening, we bring you the news of and perspective representing the LGBTQ+ community from South Florida, America, and around the world.
This is the world's first and only unedited live LGBTQ+ evening news show. Whatever happens unique in the LGBTQ+ news, you will see it and hear it.
Hotspots Magazine, happening on Television Network, is a nonprofit 501c3 media company in the same model of PBS and NPR, but designed for the LGBTQ+ community. Our mission? To support the 10 pillars of our LGBTQ+ community. We want to inform and educate the key issues of our Black community, Latino, lesbians and queer women, trans, students, youth, seniors, HIV/AIDS, healthcare, business, social justice, and faith. Help us support our community.
We are part of one of the largest LGBTQ+ media companies in America, Hotspots Magazine, and Happening Now Television Network.
Our magazine is celebrating 39 years of the LGBTQ+ experience. And our television news, talk, and entertainment shows support our mission to educate the LGBTQ+ and broader community.
Well, let's meet tonight's panel. And we start with Gregg Shapiro, an inductee into the Chicago LGBT Hall of Fame. Gregg is the author of 9 books. His entertainment coverage, including celebrity interviews, runs in a variety of print and online publications, including our favorite, Out South Florida. Welcome back, Gregory.
Hello! I'm going to see Book of Mormon tonight. How are you?
Not as good as you, apparently. I will be at Wilton Manor City Commission, so yay, let's get our commission on. Up next, DJ Eric Restivo. DJ Eric is well known from his podcast, Listen Sweetie, as well as his work as a DJ in clubs across the country, including West Hollywood, or WeHo, as the hip kids say. Welcome back, DJ Eric.
Listen, sweetie, happy to be here. Happy to be back.
Up next, let's welcome anchor Elijah Manley. He is a community organizer, activist, and formerly the youngest ever candidate for the Florida House of Representatives. He is the owner of Benchmark Strategies, a South Florida consulting firm. Welcome, Elijah.
Howdy, howdy. Good to be here with all of you.
It truly is. And finally, let's welcome anchor Glen Weinzimer. He is the founder of the Smart Ride, which just celebrated its 20th ride in 2023 and has raised more than $16 million over the years. He also owns Bona Italian Restaurant in Wilton Manors. Over the past 6 years, Bona has raised more than $60,000 to help local organizations. Welcome back, Glen.
It is a pleasure to be back and amongst all of you.
And as everybody watching knows, Bona has great garlic rolls and a pesto sauce. Are those on the back table? I didn't see them when I came in.
You won't see them tonight because we're closed on Tuesdays.
Well, it seems like I could get that. I could get my order very quickly then if there's no one in front of me.
I couldn't be sitting in this chair at the same time as going in to warm up the ovens for you.
Could I get?
You know, you can come on a Monday, a Wednesday. There's 6 other good nights to have garlic roast fresh out of the oven.
Yeah, Tuesday's my Italian night. Sorry. Well, we are the reporters for Queer News Tonight, and this evening we begin with the queer headlines. The LGBTQ plus community in South Florida and across America is diverse. Our community around the world is vast, and here are the bullet points for the Queer News for today, Tuesday, December 12th, 2023. And we begin by queering up breaking news. Monarch High School faces more anti-trans backlash. The school is now on probation by the Florida High School Athletic Association and will pay a $16,500 fine for allowing a trans girl to play volleyball on the girls' volleyball team. Scott Travis of the South Florida Sun-Sentinel was first to break the news. The Broward County High School came under fire last month when it was revealed the girl, a trans girl, was on the team. Administrators, a coach, and staffers, including the girl's mom, were reassigned. The fine is $500 for each game of the 33 games that the girl participated in. The FHSAA is also going after the student athlete herself, banning her from playing on any team for a year. A Florida law bans trans students from participating on the teams with which their gender identifies. Conservatives support the new law and have been out for vengeance since the original story broke. Today, Florida's Education Commissioner Manny Diaz gleefully celebrated on social media, saying that trans girls playing sports is, quote, illegal behavior, end quote. This punishment comes from the State Athletic Association. Further attacks from Florida's Department of Education could still be coming. This law serves no one. No one is better because of this law. Not the girls that are on the team, not the trans kids that are trying to play, not the parents. The only people this helps, politicians looking for vote. And it empowers Karens to go out there and apparently look up people's skirts to find out what they're dealing with. The people who support this are just wrong, and they're terrible. I'm pretty sure that the person, I'm just going to assume it's a mom with a big stick up her butt that called this in and got these people in trouble. They don't need to be in trouble. You need to go and get some help for your humanity.
And the kids get that too. I was very happy to see the kids do a walkout at Monarch High School over the past few
recently.
days.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
That show of unity and support from students, I think that young woman is going to remember for the rest of her life. And it's really just sad that the adults are the bullies in this case. Usually you expect the kids to be bullying another kid, but it's really the adults, the politicians bullying a student. So kudos to the kids for going out there, standing up and doing a walkout. I hope to see this across all of Broward County.
And let's name one of those adults, Manny Diaz.
Yes.
Just evil, really pure evil.
There's no money in the system, and yet they're going to come up with $16,000 in fines, and it's going to go back to the state. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. And, you know, how do they know that she was trans unless someone called her out? You know what I mean? Obviously, she's been playing, and the kids are fine with it. The parents are fine with it. The school was fine with it. So she's being outed. It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. You know, this is, it's vicious and it's still a developing story. I've got a column up on this right now on outsouthflorida.com. I will be continuing to update the story as we go through a few days, and also follow Scott Travis from the Sun-Sentinel on his Twitter and his Facebook feed. He has Broward schools on lock. He knows everything that is happening. So for the very best in this, please follow Scott. And for seconds, follow me. Now let's queer up politics. Anti-LGBTQ plus provisions are dropped from a must-pass defense authorization bill. Senate Democrats are keeping extreme right-wing Republicans in the House in check. The National Defense Authorization Act is one of several large must-pass spending bills. House Republicans loaded up the bill with unrelated anti-LGBTQ plus policies, such as eliminating gender-affirming care for trans troops, banning books with pornographic material, and impeding servicewomen's access to abortion. That was their wish list. But wishes don't always come true. The final version of the bill had to be worked out with the Democrat-controlled Senate, and all the aforementioned items were dropped. Speaker Mike Johnson is a vocal LGBTQ plus opponent, but seems willing to lose this round in the name of political expediency. He'll likely need help from Democrats to pass the bill. He has a razor-thin majority, and Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, who has made a career out of attacking trans people, says she's going to vote against it. Because of course she is.
Surprise. Yeah.
Right?
Say, surprise, surprise.
I think that she is probably is making a stand, because now we're saying her name, and a lot of other panel shows around the country are going to say her name. Mike Johnson knew he had no chance to win this. Basically, what he needed to do was bring these provisions to a vote in the House and let all his people say, yes, we're against it, knowing it would never be in the final version of the bill. So the people who are even more anti-gay than him got their moment, because it was never going to pass the Senate. It was never going to pass or get signed by the president. So it seems like he's walking the political line, which I guess is what you expect politicians to do.
Way to support the troops and way to really go against our national security. We got allies we need to be defending. Ukraine, aid we need to be sending. And this isn't the first time they've done this. They did this with the border a few weeks ago. And they're still doing this, saying the only way we'll update our aid to Ukraine is through focusing on the border, which they know is not going to happen. It's not going to be in a bill. And Chuck Schumer, who's done an excellent job on this, on pushing back against, obviously, this effort and their effort with the border, stated, put an amendment out and get the votes. You need 60 votes. Didn't Mitch McConnell used to say that when he ran the Senate? If it doesn't have 60 votes, it can't get a presidential signature. It's dead. So what's the difference here? Why play games with our national security? It's just not right.
And be careful not to say Green's name 3 times in a row.
She appears.
You will conjure.
Yeah, we have a green screen. She'll appear. Yeah.
Floating head all around
It's
us.
just clowns like Miss Green. It's just this 5 minutes now that's coming with this. She'll take that to the bank, So it's just, don't breathe any light into it. Let her have her.
And to Johnson's credit, he knew it wasn't going to pass. He did it to appeal the extreme right.
Right.
Knowing that even as much as he doesn't like us, he wasn't going to cause that to not allow the defense budget and everything else to be affected by it. So for what it's worth, kudos to him for knowing it wasn't going to pass and letting it go.
We'll see how last he longs.
Yes.
Yeah.
How long he lasts.
Yes, I got it.
Yeah, no, I thought you mixed it up on purpose, because that's how backwards they are.
Yeah,
But
Nuance on top of it all.
just one thing before we move on is that the danger's not gone. It's just not going to happen in this particular bill. We still need to keep our antenna up for anyone sliding riders into completely unrelated bills and things of that sort. Obviously, somebody reads all these things somewhere, but we need to keep ourselves alert, because Mike Johnson and his fascist cohorts are not going away.
Be vigilant. Next, let's clear up courts. Supreme Court rejects challenge to a state conversion therapy ban, as Justice Thomas is furious. Despite its conservative makeup, the U.S. Supreme Court is allowing states to ban gay conversion therapy for children. A Christian therapist challenged Washington state's law, saying it violated his free speech. Pushed by some conservatives, the widely criticized and dangerous practice encourages gay or lesbian minors to change their sexual orientations and transgender children to identify as the gender identities assigned to them at birth. Washington is one of 26 states that have banned or restricted such therapy for minors. The court voted 6-3, with Justice Thomas being the most vocal in his dissent, saying, quote, "No official, high or petty, can prescribe what shall be orthodox in politics. Nationalism, religion, or other matters of opinion, or force citizens to confess by word or act their faith therein. Yet, under this law, licensed counselors cannot voice anything other than the state-approved opinion on minors with gender dysphoria without facing punishment." End quote. Anything that effing makes Clarence the dead-eyed liar furious is cause for rejoicing. This calls for a parade.
A pride parade, perhaps?
Perhaps.
It's a win. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. And we need to celebrate wins like this. Unfortunately, I still don't think anything is going to get easier for our trans brothers and sisters. And but it's a win. Small win.
Funny, he says, no one can prescribe except for us, the high priest.
Yes.
Right.
The high priest on the Supreme Court that literally, whose job it is to prescribe what's right and wrong or create the law. So I just thought that was very funny.
Yeah. The state preventing what a parent can say. God, that just sounds like a terrible thing. I hope Justice Thomas remembers those remarks when cases from Florida come before him in the next couple or 3 years. And what if there was straight conversion therapy, which some people already think our existence is? But what if that was being promoted? Oh my God! People would lose their stuff. They'd be up in arms. Yeah, it would be ridiculous. But to say straight conversion therapy focuses it just on how ridiculous LGBTQ plus conversion therapy is, except it doesn't amplify how truly dangerous it is. This isn't a win for us. This is a win for LGBTQ plus youth. They don't even know that they've won. But if they live in the half the states that ban it, they are lucky, whether they know it or not.
All right, let's queer up education. LGB student alcohol and drug use dropped from 2019 to 2021, and school stigma may be why. Studies suggest that LGBTQ plus youth are at increased risk of engaging in alcohol and substance use. The COVID-19 pandemic forced many students to isolate themselves in 2020 and 2021, and the impacts of this have been purported to be detrimental. This study, published in the Nursing and Health Sciences Research Journal, examines the prevalence of alcohol and substance use among lesbian, gay, and bisexual U.S. high school students before the pandemic in 2019 versus 2021. Using the 2019 Youth Risk Behavior Survey and the 2021 Adolescent Behavior and Experiences Survey, it found a decrease in prevalence for all 15 alcohol and substance use related questions. The most statistically significant differences were observed in e-cigarette use, marijuana use, and obtaining an illegal drug on school property. The study says this decrease has occurred in the context of the pandemic and reported increases in mental health problems among this population. A major conclusion was because LGB students were not in school, and it may reflect stigma and other related issues as a decreased need for alcohol and drug use. The study concluded these outcomes should prompt further research into how social interactions at school among LGBTQ plus youth contribute to patterns of alcohol and substance use. Although I loved all of the science behind both of the surveys, when I read this article before I came in here, I think that as being part of the LGBTQ plus community, no matter what LGB or LGBTQ plus, it's always going to be difficult, especially in school. And then you throw a pandemic on top of it. I remember how much my alcohol intake increased just in the pandemic. So I can't imagine battling at school, but also in the sense that it did decrease is another small win. That's a theme today. So it's kind of, it's tough.
And you got a question also, was there less alcohol and drug use because they were at home and they didn't have access to it and their parents were looking over them? Or was it because they weren't being bullied at school? Because you still have online bullying. So if you're looking at it, there's still that pressure. You were still doing class and you were visually on no matter present on social media.
Zoom,
So, that hate is still there, but I question how much of it is related to the fact that they didn't have access to it because the people were not going out and finding the drugs. You were restricted to how many places you could go. And then parental support.
Yeah. Because definitely, economic anxiety is still out there. Depression, mental health illness is still out there. So they were at home and they didn't have those pressures from the students. So I'm interested in seeing what happens. I'm glad they're going to be doing more studies on this and looking at this data, but I can imagine, generally right now, other studies are showing that use of drugs and alcohol is skyrocketing in the countries and opioids. So I'm pretty sure that will probably match the youth population.
Well, but maybe this is a starting point. Maybe this data set says, look, when you make a physical break in something, these are the things that can happen. So maybe, while yes, it's going to go back up and skyrocket, maybe we'll find something that can help us curb abuse and encourage mental wellness in our LGBTQ plus youth. as we go forward. But at the end of the day, parents got to keep an eye on their kids, because I was an LGBTQ youth, but I wasn't out. But still, you were getting your $1.99 of Boone's Farm and behind the Village Pantry and drinking after school. So yeah, Glenn knows what I'm talking about. He's a Cherry Hill guy, just like myself. But we have to keep an eye on the kids, not only as a community, but also encourage parents to keep an eye on your kids, because alcohol, weed slips in there. They're adult drugs.
It's really easy to get in high school. If it's anything like when I went to high school, which was a little bit ago, but drugs were there at your disposal. I mean, I would steal my dad's money and get a 20 bag, that's just what it was. I don't recommend it, but that's how easy it was when I was in school, I remember. So I'm not going to try and play like I didn't, partake in high school.
Right.
So,
Greg, class of 2017 forever, right?
Hey, that was my class, 2017. Hey.
Oh, I can't.
Oh, no.
I can't. Oh, my God.
All right, next. Let's queer up gay culture. OnePulse donors have little chance of being refunded. What happened? People donated to the OnePulse Foundation in hopes of turning the site into a memorial. Now their hopes, and most likely their money, are gone. The OnePulse Foundation Board of Directors dissolved the nonprofit last month, and now charity watchdog organization Charity Watch says donors stand little chance of ever seeing their donations reimbursed. Ever since 49 people died in the Pulse nightclub murders on June 12, 2016, a temporary memorial was created, but a permanent installation never happened. The owner of the land once appeared ready to donate the land, but ended up selling it to the city for $2 million in October. Due to tax laws and nonprofit rules, it's highly unlikely people who make small donations will get refunded. OnePulse has returned the property to the city. I remember hearing about this on Twitter from the representative Anna Escamani, who represents that area in the legislature, and a lot of the concern was there's public dollars in the form of appropriations from the state that OnePulse will be receiving, and so she's trying to recover that money, I'm being told, and the state is trying to get that money back and make sure any of the public dollars, but I can only imagine how individuals feel.
I'm sure they could probably show administrative costs and things like that. Glenn?
Yes.
Nonprofit accountability is a pet project.
Oh, it is. And there's lots of organizations that no one bothers to ask them what they do with the money. You can go as big as 9/11. Everybody wanted to do good, and everybody pitched in at 9/11. And then they hired a company to manage the billions of dollars or whatever that number was that they raised. But does anyone really know whatever happened to it? And what level of executives took their portion of it? And is there anything left? Did they continue to do fundraising? So you take this on a more local level, like in Orlando, and people did the same thing. They gave because they wanted to do good. They gave because they wanted to make a difference. And people have to hold these organizations locally and nationally accountable for the hard-earned money that you all make and then give back. And most of you heard my speech at closing ceremonies for the Smart Right. And I said, and I stand by it, our community is extremely generous. But before you go to another event or another party, you have to ask some questions. And you need to ask, where does my fucking money go?
Yeah.
And the statutes. Statutes need to change, because in politics and political donations, you have to report all of that for people to see. And if people want a refund, a candidate in the campaign has to reimburse that person. You can go online and request a check, get your money back. Why isn't that the same for the nonprofit industry? So I think
there's very blurry lines of what is a nonprofit. The NFL is a nonprofit. Certain hospitals are nonprofits. And their executive directors make $1 million a year. So where is that says what a nonprofit has to give back? Because if you want to throw a party, make it a for-profit. Own that, pay your taxes, and don't promise anything, things you aren't going to deliver on. So don't hide behind the I'm a nonprofit in order to throw these parties and not give anything back. Yeah. And if you're doing giving it back, show it. Have a check party.
And it really, still the fact that the future of a Pulse nightclub memorial is in limbo is just
beyond.
It's the cherry on the top. It's a poison cherry on top. And it's depressing to think that it just may never happen.
The real victims in all of it is the families and loved ones of the victims, and they don't have anything now.
Yeah.
I don't know the people who founded and worked the OnePulse Foundation. I'm going to assume, because I haven't seen the books, I haven't requested it, this is absolutely an Orlando story, and I hope our friends at Watermark Publishing up in Central Florida will continue to follow this and beat the drum. But that said, this is an unmitigated failure. This is a gut-wrenching failure. Here we are going on 8 years, 8 years past the Pulse massacre. No memorial. Nothing is going to be there to say we happened, we existed, we are a community, and our presence is still felt. Those victims are more silent today than they ever have been. There was a time when we could say all of their names practically. Now we know a few, the ones that were close to us that died or they're close to our friends. But this is an absolute slap in the face to them, their families, and to future LGBTQ plus citizens. This was our darkest day. And now the light of hope that we had is this close to being extinguished. So please, let's not let that happen.
So you said the city or Orlando purchased the property for $2 million? What do they plan? Huh?
From the owner.
From the owner. What is it? What are they looking for?
Well, the original idea was they were going to buy the property and give it to OnePulse Foundation to kind of help them over that. And then, as you said in your story, OnePulse has returned the land back to the city. What they're going to do with it now, I don't know.
Okay. Sorry, I missed that part of it, but yeah, that makes, because if the city has it, then they certainly can still put a fund together, or if there's any money left, force it into there. So
right, but of course they've already dropped $2 million to theoretically get over the biggest hurdle. So hopefully something, but this, not hopefully something must happen.
Right. And the state has given, I think, about $850,000, it might be a little more, and public dollars for the memorial. And so I want to see what happens with the state funds, if OnePulse returns that to the state, or if the city of Orlando can get that money instead now that OnePulse is non-existent.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm counting on our partners up in Central Florida, Watermark Publishing. Please stay on top of this for us.
Yeah. Okay, let's crib drag culture. Miami Beach celebrates drag history with new street art. The newest work of public art in Miami Beach, Florida, is an ode to drag. The city officials have unveiled Adora, Vanessa, Athena, Fantasia, a vibrant series of aluminum panels suspended over a block of the bustling Espanola Way shopping district. Each panel features a kaleidoscope, portrait inspired by local drag queens, including the four who inspired its title, Adora, Athena Dion, Fantasia Royale, and Tiffany Fantasia, and is accompanied by a 30-foot tall mural of dramatic manicures, doll-like eyelashes, and full pouty lips. Adora, Vanessa, Athena, Fantasia is a work by Assume Vivid Astro Focus, or AVAF, an artist collective known for its multidisciplinary installations and psychedelic explosions of color. The city of Miami Beach commissioned this piece as the latest installment of Elevate Espanola, a semi-annual public art project launched in 2021. Eli Sudbrack, the Brazilian artist who founded AVAF in New York some 20 years ago, wanted to pay tribute to Miami Beach's bustling drag scene, especially after the Florida governor signed a bill in April to limit drag performances in the state. Across the U.S., where at least a dozen other states have attempted to pass similar laws, drag remains a central topic in a larger culture war targeting LGBTQ plus rights. I think it's great that Miami Beach is defying our state and our governor and saying, these people are real, they're part of our culture, they make a difference, they're what makes us, and around the country, we're all a blend of different things, and highlighting their benefit. The name itself I can't pronounce again, it's just way too many words, but I love that they're doing this representation, and they've got this big a piece of public artwork.
And it's perfect representation, in my opinion. I've worked both with Fantasia Royale and Tiffany Fantasia. They come from the same drag family, actually. Worked with them back in West Hollywood. I've worked with them here. And talk about just like humble relatable. You know, just anytime you would go to a drag show that's hosted by either one of them, I can't speak for Athena, but those two, you feel right. Welcomed. You don't have to be it could be your first time at a drag show or your 35th, you know, and you get the same welcoming experience. So I love this mural as well. I'd love one up in Wilton for our local queens as well. I don't know why we don't follow suit. So for me, chef's kiss.
Well, now there's yet another reason to visit Espanola Way, aside from the fabulous restaurants, even more fabulous artwork. And there's the perspectives, where if you look at it, it almost looks like they're stacked, and then it's quite a look, quite a cool thing.
You know, I encourage all of our viewers who are in Miami Beach or will be at or around Miami Beach, please take a picture, tweet it, tag Governor DeSantis.
I thought you were going to say tag us.
Or tag us too. Yeah, I'll take the likes. But no, tag us. Tag the governor. Tag the Florida Department of Education. Tag the Miami-Dade log cabin Republicans. Gross, but tag them, make them see this, put this front and center. Even if the governor doesn't see it, make his social media manager have to see it 5,000 times. That is my call to you. Because one, this is great art that needs to be promoted no matter what. Two, this is a way to get under his skin even more. He's losing his drag fight. He's losing it every single day. Let's remind him of that every single minute.
He is getting dragged. 41 points. 41 points.
Next, let's queer up South Florida and Florida. Visit Lauderdale recommends Fort Lauderdale's Winterfest boat parade. Visit Lauderdale never fails to keep you updated about the exciting events and happenings of Greater Fort Lauderdale. This holiday season, our favorite city of Fort Lauderdale is hosting another exciting event to entertain us all. The Seminole Hard Rock Winterfest Boat Parade is a must-attend event for the holiday that helps make the season merry and bright. Now in its 52nd year, the best show on H2O has wowed spectators from near and far with a dazzling parade of boats and yachts decorated in illuminated lights, tinsel, and decor. Happening this Saturday, the 16th, this year's theme, Reflections Afloat, commemorates the Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino Hollywood and Winterfest. Legendary R&B group Boyz II Men will serve as grand marshals. Whether you vacation in Greater Fort Lauderdale every year for the holidays, or this is your first time in our slice of paradise, be sure to witness this festive spectacle. The boat parade will begin at 6:30 p.m. The 12-mile route starts at the New River in front of the historic Stranahan House and continues north via the Intracoastal to Lake Santa Barbara in Pompano Beach. You'll hear South Florida-based Emmy-nominated singer, songwriter, performer, impact artist Alexander Starr perform his debut song, Lauderdale, an homage to the region. Adult tickets are $30. Children 10 or younger are $25. The official website of Visit Lauderdale has further information on this event. Visit Lauderdale, everyone under the sun. I've had the pleasure of attending the Seminole Hard Rock Winterfest Boat Parade for a few years, and it's always sensational. The lights, the music, the decorations. It's like a drag show on water.
I love Boyz II Men. Like for the last 30-some years they've been on the scene, and it's men to men now.
Right. Yeah, I would say I love when boys go to men also.
Okay, no,
don't read into that. I did not mean that. I meant when boys become men.
Oh my God! Stop talking, Glenn. If I had a mute button, Steve, can we mute his
No,
mic
no.
for a few moments?
I'm just going to bang y'all.
Yeah. I got to with a former job, I got to be on the main boat for Winterfest one time, and it's a really fun thing, and that's a very cool view. But also a cool view is from the coasts, the banks.
Or if you have a friend who's got a condo on the 20th floor, it's a good view too.
I used to be that person.
Oh yeah.
And I would go to see my friends on the shore side and go out and watch it, so I didn't get stuck. And I always had people, can we use your apartment? And I was like, here's the keys. You go ahead. You can go up to the 11th floor and watch it. But
did you mark the whiskey bottles like where the levels were before you left?
So you're assuming I left them unlocked?
Like the Macy's Day Parade and a Pride Parade. We're like, hey, let's do this thing on the water.
On the water.
With boats.
Yeah.
It is the most, and okay, this is meant in the nicest way. This is the most Florida way to celebrate the holidays. Sure. It is so Florida. It's outdoors, it's bright lights, it makes use of Fort Lauderdale and Broward County's beautiful waterway system on the New River and the Intercoastal. This is so great. Get there early, get your seat, bring a beverage, and enjoy, because this is one of the reasons why we live here. And I say that completely unironically. It is a really great event.
I'm going to bring 2 beverages, and I'll see you there.
All right.
Next, we are proud of our special partnership with Sunshine Cathedral, the world's largest queer church here in Fort Lauderdale. Supporting that partnership, we are broadcasting from our permanent set here at Sunshine Cathedral at the Happening Out television studios. We broadcast Sunshine Cathedral's Sunday International Service at 10:30 a.m.
Now, here's a look at what I'm working on for this week's Out South Florida. This week in Out South Florida, powered by Queer News Tonight. I'm Out South Florida senior reporter John Hayden. In this week's issue, 3 legacy events are finished. Why so many so suddenly? Also, a victory for LGBTQ+ rights as the U.S. Supreme Court upholds a ban on conversion therapy. And your choice, your reward. Pick up the results of the Your Choice Awards on stands and online now. I'm John Hayden. Those stories and more in Out South Florida, and follow me on Instagram at John Hayden Journalist for breaking news and live updates. Well, we finished tonight's Queer News headlines with a segment we call LGBTQ+ 1 Minute News.
LGBTQ+ 1 Minute News, let's queer up gay culture. Stonewall National Museum Archives and Library Gala 2024. Stonewall National Museum Archives and Library Gala with the theme Standing on the Shoulders of Heroes is set for Saturday, February 24th at the venue Wilton Manors. The evening starts at 6 with a cocktail reception in the Epic Ballroom featuring delicious hors d'oeuvres, an open bar, and a fabulous silent auction. At 7, guests move to the Crystal Ballroom for dinner, More open bar, entertainment, awards, and live auction. The Gala is Stonewall's largest fundraising event, generating almost 50% of the organization's operating funds. Gala tickets start at $350. Get more details at stonewall-museum.org.
LGBTQ plus 1 minute news. Let's queer up businesses. New bill would protect LGBTQ plus owned businesses from lending discrimination. A bill introduced by U.S. Senators Alex Padilla and Kirsten Gillibrand, along with U.S. Rep. Richie Torres, would require financial institutions to collect data on access to credit and capital by LGBTQ plus owned businesses. The bill would also require financial institutions to collect the self-identified sexual orientation and gender identity of the principal owners of small businesses, in addition to their sex, race, and ethnicity. Padilla acknowledged that LGBTQ plus owned small businesses are a cornerstone of local economies and they deserve equitable resources to grow. The legislation would add a definition for businesses owned by LGBTQ plus individuals to the ECOA statute.
LGBTQ plus 1 minute news. Let's queer up gay culture. Queer history celebrated with vintage pics of male couples in love. Inspiration often comes from our past. Queerty put together a few vintage pics of male couples in love, proving that statement correct. Queerty points out that we don't know much about these couples. We don't know their names, how they met, or how they made each other feel. We don't even know if they ended up together. But we do know they probably lived by a certain code, so they could keep each other safe. They probably lived their authentic lives in the shadows, only showing their true selves to a trusted few. And they most likely had a deep love for one another to risk taking such intimate photos. We know that these couples were brave and they lived in an unjust time. And of course, we know they are beautiful.
LGBTQ plus 1 minute news. Let's queer up politics. This state is suing Nazi group for disrupting LGBTQ plus events and drag story hours. Massachusetts Attorney General Andrea Joy Campbell is suing a self-described neo-Nazi group for an escalating series of unlawful and discriminatory incidents targeting LGBTQ plus events and immigrants. The suit accuses the National Socialist Club, also known as NSC-131, and its two leaders, Christopher Hood and Leo McNeil, of repeatedly engaging in violent, threatening, intimidating, and coercive conduct. Their actions allegedly include repeated attempts to disrupt public events organized by LGBTQ plus groups. Specifically, the suit claims that between July 2022 and January 2023, NSC 131 engaged in a campaign to disrupt and shut down 4 separate family-friendly drag queen story hours in Massachusetts.
LGBTQ plus 1 minute news. Let's queer up gay culture. My Hollywood Pride will celebrate the grassroots LGBTQ plus community on January 28th. My Hollywood Pride returns to downtown Hollywood for its 3rd year on Sunday, January 28th at 1 p.m. The street festival will be full of activities and learning for all ages. Local businesses will be out to support diversity, equity, and inclusion, and everyone can enjoy the musical entertainment. And it's going to be hosted by Happening Out Television's own Faye What? Attendees will also get to enjoy LGBTQ plus films, discussions, cultural exhibits, art and dance, educational displays, and more. There will be a safe space for kids to play and youth to hang out. The tea dance starts at 3. Get ready for this fun and free event that offers family-friendly, accessible activities. Food, music, art, culture, and much more. For further details, visit myhollywoodpride.com. That is today's news for the LGBTQ plus community on the world's first and only daily LGBTQ plus evening news show.
If our community is important to you, share this news with your friends and family. Are you, like most of America, part of our very large television audience watching this live LGBTQ plus news broadcast right now on Roku, Apple TV, Android TV, and Amazon Fire TV?
Queer News Tonight is the only live LGBTQ plus digital television show in the world that is out of the closet and into the headlines. We need your support. If our community is to grow, we must tell our stories and bring them to the attention of the broader world.
This is the only place in the world that tells these types of LGBTQ plus stories in motion and sound. That is the passion of Hotspots Magazine, happening on Television Network and Queer News Tonight.
I'm John Hayden, and on behalf of these LGBTQ plus reporters, the anchors of Queer News Tonight, including DJ Eric, Mr. Gregg Shapiro, Elijah Manley, and Faye what? No, I'm sorry, that's Glen Weinzimer. Glenn,
I'll take it. She's
Faye.
pretty popular.
She is.
Yeah.
We will see you daily at 8 p.m. And to our LGBTQ plus world, we wish you a very good night.
Good night.
Howdy and good.